The ruthless nature of football is often defined by triumph, goals, trophies, and moments that live forever in memory. But behind those moments lies a harsher truth. A world where success is temporary, patience is rare, and decisions are often made long before their consequences are understood. Managers exist at the center of that reality. They are judged relentlessly, not just by results, but by expectation, not just by performance, but by perception. And in this environment, even success is fragile. Across history, there have been moments where football made decisions it would later regret. Moments where managers were dismissed, not because they failed, but because time was denied to them. Success without security. Carlo Ancelotti. When Carlo Ancelotti arrived at Chelsea FC, he brought clarity. His methods were simple but effective. His leadership, calm yet decisive. In his first season, Chelsea reached a level few teams ever achieve. They scored over 100 league goals, dominating opponents with a balance of structure and freedom. By the end of that campaign, they had secured both the Premier League title and the FA Cup. It was not just success, it was control. But football rarely allows consistency to be its defining narrative. The following season brought disruption. Injuries, inconsistency, and subtle tactical decline began to shift the momentum. Chelsea did not collapse. They simply fell short. Yet that was enough. Ancelotti was dismissed. The decision revealed something deeper about modern football, that even historic success cannot guarantee stability. At the highest level, the margin for patience is almost non-existent. David Moyes, the impossible inheritance. Replacing Alex Ferguson at Manchester United FC was never just a managerial job. It was a succession of history. When David Moyes was chosen for the role, he inherited more than a squad. He inherited expectations shaped by decades of dominance. But beneath the surface, the reality was more complex. The team required rebuilding. Key players were nearing the end of their peak years. The club itself was transitioning, adjusting to life after Ferguson. Moyes was tasked with managing all of it at once. Results were inconsistent. Confidence wavered. The pressure intensified. After just 10 months, he was dismissed. In hindsight, the decision appears less like a correction and more like a reaction. Manchester United would spend years searching for stability, appointing multiple managers in an attempt to recreate what had been lost. Moyes was never given the time to build something new. His tenure became a reflection of a club struggling to redefine itself. A decline not of his making. Massimiliano Allegri. At AC Milan, Massimiliano Allegri brought the club back to the top. The Serie A title in 2011 was not just a victory, it was a restoration of identity. But success was followed by dismantling. Financial realities forced the sale of key players. The squad weakened. Depth disappeared. Results declined, as they often do when foundations are removed. Yet the responsibility fell on the manager. Allegri was dismissed. But Milan's problems did not disappear with him. They deepened. Years of instability followed, while Allegri moved on to Juventus FC and built one of the most dominant domestic eras in Italian football. His success elsewhere reframed everything. The failure had never been his. Success rejected. Vicente Del Bosque. At Real Madrid CF, success is expected. But even success can be misunderstood. Vicente Del Bosque delivered trophies, stability, and balance in a dressing room filled with global stars. He understood the club. He understood its players. And he delivered results. Yet he was dismissed, not because he failed, but because the club desired change, a different image, a different direction. The consequences were immediate. The stability he provided disappeared, replaced by inconsistency and uncertainty. His departure remains one of football's clearest examples of a club moving away from success in pursuit of something undefined. The miracle forgotten. Claudio Ranieri. In 2016, Claudio Ranieri achieved something football may never see again. With Leicester City FC, he won the Premier League. A team expected to struggle instead conquered England. It was not just unlikely, it was impossible. But football does not preserve emotion. The following season, results declined. Confidence faded. The team drifted toward the relegation zone. Ranieri was dismissed. The decision felt cold. He had delivered history, yet was judged by the present. Leicester would recover. But the meaning of that decision lingered far beyond results. It became a symbol of football's inability to honor its own miracles. Success without trust, Thomas Tuchel. At Paris Saint-Germain FC, success is measured differently. Domestic dominance is expected. European success is demanded. Thomas Tuchel came closer than anyone before him, reaching the Champions League final. It was a historic moment. Yet within months, he was dismissed. Internal tensions, misalignment, and short-term inconsistency overshadowed long-term achievement. His departure was not about failure. It was about trust, or the lack of it. He would later prove his quality elsewhere, reinforcing what many already believed, that his dismissal came too soon. The end of a cycle. Mauricio Pochettino. At Tottenham Hotspur FC, Mauricio Pochettino built something lasting. He developed players, created identity, elevated expectations. Tottenham became more than competitive. They became consistent. The Champions League final in 2019 was the peak of that journey. But beneath the surface, fatigue had begun. Limited investment, physical and mental exhaustion, a cycle nearing its natural end. When results declined, he was dismissed. But it was not collapse. It was transition. And without him, Tottenham struggled to maintain the identity he had created. The burden of transition. Unai Emery. At Arsenal FC, replacing Arsene Wenger was more than tactical. It was historical. Unai Emery stepped into a club defined by continuity and philosophy. His early progress was visible, but inconsistency followed. He was dismissed before the transformation could take shape. His tenure was not defined by failure, but by the weight of what came before him. Judged too soon? Julen Lopetegui. At Real Madrid CF, time is rarely given. Julen Lopetegui inherited a team at the end of a historic cycle. Expectations remained unchanged. Reality had shifted. Results declined, and he was dismissed within months. But the issues were deeper than performance. They were structural. His later success elsewhere only reinforced the idea that he had been judged too early. A pattern that never changes. Across leagues, eras, and clubs, the pattern remains. Managers are often the first to be removed, even when they are not the root of the problem, because change is easier to demonstrate than to build. Sacking a manager creates immediate reaction, but not always long-term improvement, and in many cases, it only delays the inevitable. The game that never learns. Football continues to evolve. New managers arrive, new ideas emerge, expectations rise. But one thing remains constant: the impatience, the belief that success must be immediate, that progress must be visible, that time is optional. Yet history suggests otherwise. The managers who did not deserve to be sacked are not just stories of injustice. They are lessons. Lessons about patience, about structure, about understanding the difference between failure and transition. Closing reflection. In the end, football is not only shaped by what happens on the pitch, it is shaped by decisions. Quiet, decisive moments that alter careers and redefine clubs. The managers who did not deserve to be sacked remind us of something fundamental: that success is fragile, that stability is rare, and that sometimes the greatest mistake a club can make is acting too soon.